Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining me today for our webinar on one template, 5 different emails. My name is Jill, and I'm the Training and Education Manager here at VerticalResponse. And today, this webinar is going to be a little bit different from the ones that we frequently do around here. It's a little bit more of a demo on how to create emails the way that you want them to look. Just a couple things before I jump into getting started with this demo slash webinar. First of all, I'm not quite sure how long it's going to be, probably about 30-ish minutes, maybe 40. And then at the end, there will be time for Q&A. So as usual, if you've been to any of our webinars, go ahead and type your questions into the box that you see in the GoToWebinar window. And I'll be happy to answer as many of those questions as I can at the end. I am going to assume some info about all of the people who are on this webinar. So I'm going to assume that you know how to upload images into the library. I have already done that just to save time, and that you at least have checked out our system. But if I do something that you're not familiar with, go ahead and just type it into the box, and then I'll show you how to do that at the end of the webinar. As with all of our webinars, I am recording this, so this will be available on our help site next week. I usually put the recorded version up about a week after the webinar, so you can go back and make references to this later on. So let's go ahead and jump into how to do this. So this webinar is actually based on a blog post that I wrote last year, and we do get a lot of questions about how to manipulate templates. And so I thought that I would take the blog post that I wrote and create a webinar from it. So if you want to reference the blog post, it is on our product blog, which is blog.verticalresponse.com/product. And it was published September 15th. So I'm basically going to go through the same templates that, or the same email ideas that I used for this blog. But if you want to go take a look at the blog, it is available for you as well. So let's go ahead and get started here. So I am going to go ahead and click on New Email. And I am going to call this email, I'm just going to call it email 1. The subject line is, this is going to be an invitation style email. So I'm going to go ahead and click next. Again, I'm going to assume you at least have set up an email in the past, and so I'm not going to go through some of these steps. I'm going to do this in the wizard because the Canvas tool is actually very easy to manipulate. You can change everything in the Canvas and also access the HTML, but using the wizard can be a little tricky for some people because they don't quite see some of the places that you can make changes. So I'm going to use the wizard tool, but if you have questions on the Canvas, you can also post those. So we have about 700 templates in our system. There are a lot to pick from. If you're trying to create an email that looks a specific way, you're trying to match your website or you're trying to match a flyer or something like that, the best thing to do when you're using especially the wizard tool is to use the fully editable templates. And they say fully editable on them. So I'm going to pick a fully editable one, and I'm going to pick this one. So I'm going to select this template. And I'm going to go through and make some changes to it. So this first email that I'm going to do is going to be an invitation to an event. And I have written out some of my text so you guys don't have to sit and watch me type because that is not all that exciting. So let me pull up, oops, that's not what I want to see. This right here. So my first email is going to contain just some information about an upcoming event. Let's see, how am I doing this? So I'm going to come in here. So the templates already have some pre-built content blocks in them, and you can take them out so that you can have your email look the way you want. So I'm going to delete all these extra boxes. Let's see, I'm going to get rid of this one. And I'm going to paste in my text. Now I'm using TextEdit, I'm on a Mac, This is a plain text editing tool. So this is not adding any kind of fancy fonts or colors or anything like that, unlike using something like Word. So since I'm using just a plain text editor, I can paste it directly into my email. If you had written it in Word, you're going to want to use the Paste from Word option because Word doesn't use all HTML to format the text, which can cause a problem when your email is being rendered in an email program, which is rendering HTML. So if you've written it in Word or something like that, just use Paste from Word. But if you're using just a plain text editor, you don't really need to worry about that. And let me grab, why that keeps going down there, the rest of my text. And then I'm going to paste this in here. So this is going to be my email. It's an invitation for an event that we're going to be holding. I am going to add some images. And as I said, I have uploaded images into the library already to use for this webinar. But if you have any questions about that, just go ahead and ask. And I want this to be a little bit bigger. And I'm going to align this in the middle of that section. So I'm going to pick middle. My image is just a tiny bit big, so I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. There we go. And then I can set up some links in my email here. Just want a couple of links in here. Oops. So this is just a basic email. This has all our contact information in it. I can add links easily. I can put in some images. And since this is an invite to a coffee event, the coffee cup makes sense. And so this was just kind of built into the template. And there are, like I said, about 700 templates. So usually you can find one that is going to work for you. Now, if you want to make this a little bit more of your own, you can easily do that. Maybe you want this to be more of a newsletter type of email, and we can do that. So let's go ahead and click Next. So let's go ahead and make a copy of this email. So we're going to call this one Email 2. But it's the same email that we just created, so I'm going to keep using the same email to create my different emails. So this one's going to be a newsletter. This next one. Now, just because it doesn't say newsletter when you're looking at the template doesn't mean that you can't use it for that. Same with making this one an invitation. Just because it doesn't fall into the invitation category doesn't mean you can't use it for that. You can adapt the templates to work however you want them to. So this one's going to be a newsletter. And let me grab my info. So first of all, I'm going to set up a column over here for a table of contents for my newsletter. And then I also want to include social sharing icons in my email, as I want people to share this. So I'm going to put my social sharing icons in this column, and I'm going to turn them off up at the top because I don't want them up there. So I turned off those. So this one is I'm going to use this as my, and then I'm going to leave the personalization for my email because I like to have personalization in my email. So I'm going to copy my text that I've written for this, and like I said, this is going to be more like a newsletter style. Whoops. And I want to personalize with the first name. And then I'm going to also include an image for my email here. So I'm going to go again to the library and grab an image that I want to use in my email. Now this one I want to align to the right, and I'm going to put a little bit of space around my image so that my text doesn't do anything strange there. Oh, that might be a little big. Let's make it a little bit smaller here. And then since I have additional information here, I can also pull over more pieces of information to use in my email. I can even add a horizontal line to kind of break up the email if I want to as well. And of course, I can add some links in here. Again, our system will track the clicks on the links, so you definitely want to put links in your email. I'm just kind of randomly putting them in here. They're only going to the website, but you can add them, obviously, to make sense in your email. So again, you can use the templates for any purpose that you really want to. It doesn't have to say newsletter in order for you to create a newsletter style email. Really, the content of your email is what's going to be important for determining what type of style you're going to have. So it doesn't have to be set up that way from the start. You can actually set it up that way yourself. Let's also put in a forward to a friend link so people can share this email. So once you have your email set up, let's go ahead and take a look at this. So the nice thing about including a table of contents, especially if the type of email you're sending is in newsletter format, is that your recipients will be able to see this information at the top of the email, and they'll know what's going on before they've scrolled too far into the email. You only have a short amount of time with your recipients to get them to take an action with your email. So giving them more information at the top of the email up here about what's going on in the rest of the email will help pull them further into the email. So even if you're not using a template that specifically is set up for newsletters, you can still have a table of contents. Here's my social sharing buttons that have been moved in here as well. Now, what if you wanted this to look like something specific? You have a website, or you have something else that you're trying to match, or you want it to be something particular that your creative team maybe has set up. We have a specific look to our newsletter when we're sending this out. So I can go ahead and use this same email. So this is the email that I already set up. And I can make this look like the newsletter I send out from VerticalResponse, or that we send out from VerticalResponse. So the first thing I'm going to do is change this image. Since this template is fully editable, I can change all the background colors and this built-in image of the coffee cup. So maybe you don't really need a coffee cup. So I'm going to click on this, and I'm going to go into my library, and I'm going to change this image to the header image I have for my newsletter. So here's this. Now I'm going to show you something that I like to do when I'm creating emails, or a tool that I like to use, and it's called Colorzilla. It's something that you can put into your browser. I'm using Firefox, and I have a tab set up here for Colorzilla. It's just an app you can include in your browser. So mine is up here. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to click on my little button up there, and I'm going to pull in the color for this, the color code for this. So it looks like it's, if I have the right one. So what I've done is up in the top right corner, I'm not sure you can see it, but if I move my mouse, you won't. I can get the color code for anywhere that I mouse with my cursor. So if you look up here, this is the little dropper. And as I mouse over the different colors, I can see what they are. And then right underneath here is where the color code is. And I can use that for setting up my template. So what I'm going to do is come up here to where it says Overall Style. And I'm going to set up the colors for my newsletter. So These are all the different colored backgrounds that I can access here in this template, and I can change it to any color I want. So I'm going to flip these colors so that this matches what I want it to match. So the content box is where I have all of the information of my email, and I want that to be white. I happen to know that code, and then I'm going to put in for the rest of these boxes the color that I took from this image so that my newsletter looks a little bit more like something to match my branding. So I'm going to type in the code that I pulled with the ColorZilla. And I'm going to put it here too. So here's this. Now, the default text color, because of it had such dark backgrounds, is white. So I'm going to want to change my text color, otherwise nobody's going to be able to see that. So that's also done under overall style. So I'm going to change this to black, which is that. I also happen to know that one. And we want, there we go. And then this one I also need to be black. So now I've changed this template from being an invitation with a coffee cup to being the template that I want to use for my newsletter. And the only thing I had to do was replace the image at the top. Again, this is a fully editable template, so I can change this. And then I changed all the background colors, and that's all done through this overall style button. So I've just kind of made this my own template just by changing some of the colors in it. So now, if you subscribe to our VR Buzz, it looks a little bit like this. This is the type of email that we would send out in our system. So if I click next, and I didn't change any of the content, all I did was change the background colors and the image at the top. So if I click next, it's a little bit easier to see on this next page here, which is why I'm clicking next. So here's my email with the newsletter format still, and now it looks like the VR Buzz, and it has the colors that match our branding. So that was pretty easy. I had put all of the information in the original one. Maybe you want to do something a little bit different. So I'm going to take this same newsletter. So let's go back here and make another copy of this email. And this one is going to be email 4. So I'm going to take the same layout that I just set up because I like that I have the, this is going to be a social media one. I like that I have my branding up at the top of the email. So I'm going to put a social marketing email. So I already have this set up. And what I'm going to do is change some of the content. So in here, I'm going to take away this top part here. I don't actually want to have a header in there. And I'm not going to need this type of table of contents. I'm going to do a social media email where I invite my recipients to come and find me on social media, because it's important that your followers also know where you are, especially if they're only getting your email. So I'm going to change some of my colors around here. I need to copy this. I'm going to put this as white. And change this one to my blue color. So here's my email. And so now I'm going to have some different things in here. Oh, those were all my... So this one's going to say, find us on social media. I'm going to delete this picture because I don't want that picture there. And I'm going to add some content. So I'm going to, let's see, I need to get rid of this and this. I just need one text box in here. And I'm going to set this up to have bullets. And then over here, I'm not going to have this set up as a table of contents at all. This is going to be where my recipients of the email are going to be able to find the different social media platforms that we're on. So I'm going to start setting this up. Like us, follow us. I find it a little bit easier to add the text first and then put the images in later. It's easier to get the images to line up in the way that I want them to line up. So my text is going to be like us, follow us, and read us. There's going to be 4 social media platforms here. I can link these to our Facebook page. Whatever the company name is. I don't know what our official URL is. But you can link these so that people can come and find your social media pages. You can put your Twitter link in here. And so here, I'm going to start adding some images. So I'm going to click where I want my image to go. Again, I'm going to go back to the library and grab my Facebook picture. Oops, I forgot to set my alignment. So you can see by not setting my alignment, my image is doing some kind of strange things there. And I want to put a little bit of spacing around the image so that my text doesn't run right into the image, especially since I only have, I aligned that incorrectly when I did that, so I'll do it right on the next one. So I only have a little bit of text here, and so I don't want it to run into my image. So I put 5 pixels of space around the image to make it easy for people to read the text and to be able to click on the link. So I'm going to add my Twitter image in here. I want this to be middle, and I want to put spacing around my image there. So there's my Twitter picture. And again, I can link this. I can also link my image. So if I click on the Facebook picture there, the button, I can click on the link and link that up. I can link up my Twitter picture. I don't know what that is either. So these will be clickable, and I can also set up my text to be clickable as well, so people have plenty of ways to get to us. Clicked on the wrong thing there. So I can also put in my LinkedIn picture. Add spacing. And there's my LinkedIn. I will add an RSS feed to the blog. Again, I'm going to align my text to the middle and add a little bit of space around my image. So there we go. So now I have an email where my recipients can get more information about following us on social media. I can, of course, add links in here, which I didn't do, but this is a great way for you to be able to keep in touch with your recipients and keep them following you on social media. It is something that we talk about that you might want to send out an email. We do have templates specific for social media, but again, if you've created something that you like, you don't need to go back and start over again. You can just make a copy of an email that you've set up in the past and then just change the information that you put in there. So if we go over here and click Next, so here's my picture, my email that I set up. So it's an invite for my recipients to come find me on different social media platforms. So again, same template. All I did was change some of the background colors and swapped out some of the images. So I'm going to do one last one, and this last one is going to be drastically different than all the other ones, even though I'm using the same template. I'm going to call this email 5. And this is going to be a sale email. So I'm going to call this. Okay, so this one I want to look completely different from all of the other things that I've set up so far in my email. The thing about this template that I selected is that there's always going to be a narrow column on the left-hand side, so I can't move that around. You can change that on the Canvas tool because you can add columns. You can't do that in the wizard. So the one thing when you're picking your template you need to like is the initial layout, and then all the colors and images you can change as you go along. So I'm going to get rid of this picture of the VR header there, because this is going to be something different than what I have done so far. So I am going to get rid of this text and put in my sale text. And this is going to say, join us for our annual sale. And I'm going to personalize this. Personalization is pretty important in your email. It makes people feel a little more like they're important. And I'll even spell valued right this time. So I also have an image that I want to use in this email. And this one is a picture with balloons on it. Actually, I want to center that, so let me put that in the middle. Actually, so there we go. So I have this image of red balloons. So I want my template to kind of match this graphic that I've created. So I'm going to change the background colors in here to match my graphic. I'm also going to get rid of these because I don't want those in my email. I'm going to add a little other piece of info. Whoops. The wrong way there. I'm going to add some other information over here because I'm using this template to sell my wine, apparently. So I have these red balloons. So I want my template to match these red balloons. And I'm going to use the color picker again. And I'm going to pick up one of these colors that's a little dark. So you'll notice as I mouse over even this image, there's different shades of red that are coming up on that color picker, up in the dropper up in the top right-hand corner there, if you can see that. So this looks like a nice shade of red. So let's go up here to overall style. And this time, I want my sidebar, so that's the side part, to be red. And the content box to be white. And the header and footer are going to also be red. Finish typing that in there. So here is my email. Maybe I even want my text to be a red color too, to go with at least that one, to go with the rest of my email. I have some pictures to add over here. Since this is an email that I'm going to use to sell something, I'm going to put some specific information about what I have for sale in that top right-hand corner. So I want my picture to be left, and I'm going to put a little bit of spacing around my image. And I'm going to put in my other picture of wine. Again, this is an important part of your email. It's up near the top. So bringing some attention to something specific in your email, if you're doing a sale or something like that, especially in the top, can bring more attention to something specific that you might get people to purchase. So again, I would want to link these images to this particular wine so that people can easily find that information. I might also want to do something that makes it easier for them to purchase my wine by adding a call to action button. And I added a call to action button in the first one when I set up the email for the invite and people could get more information. So this one says buy now. This is, I think I'm going to just make it a little smaller myself. And I'm just going to put it kind of in the middle. Make it just a tiny bit smaller, I think. Maybe. So we have a button building website that you can use. Put a little bit of space in there. It's called, and I forgot to put this up here, it's called buttons.verticalresponse.com. So the button that I created earlier that said more info for my invite email and the button that I just put in there that says buy now, I made here. So this is buttons.verticalresponse.com. It's free. You can set up the shape of your button. I like the rounded one, so that's the one I usually do. You can change your button color, including a custom color, so you could pick a certain color to use for your button. You can add your font and the font color, and you can have your button say anything you want. And then this is a GIF, and you can use that in the library and use it in your emails. And buttons tend to make people want to click on them, which can make it a little easier for you to get people to go to your site and do whatever you need them to do. If you want them to make a purchase, if you want them to make a donation, whatever you're trying to do with your email, using a call to action button tends to be pretty successful. People like to click on buttons. So I'm including a button in here, and I'm going to add another one down for this wine as well. And buttons are just images, so once you have it set up in your email, put that in the middle. So once you have it set up, you can just click on it and then click on the link and then have people go wherever you need them to go. And then you can click on this and go do whatever you purchase this delicious cab. So since this is a sales email, I wanted to have more products a little higher in my email, in addition to some other stuff going on here. Now this template, as you guys remember at the beginning when I started, had a picture of a coffee cup up here. There is a space automatically built into this email for putting an image. So right now, if we click over here and take a look at what this email looks like, there's this little bar, which isn't so bad, but if I want to have a more solid looking email, because down here I don't have that little bar, let me show you a little trick. So I'm going to come down here to this blank part on my email, and I'm going to take, whoops, wrong button. Whoops. I'm going to take a screenshot of this. I'm just going to get a piece. So this is just a little square of red from my email there. I need to save this as a the screenshot automatically saves it as a PNG. I need to save it as a JPEG or a GIF. So I'm going to do that. And now I'm going to come in here to my email, and I'm going to upload that as if it were just a regular image for my email. So I'm going to click on image, and this one I'm just going to grab from my computer because I haven't uploaded it. And here's my red box. So I played with this a little bit yesterday, and my width needs to be, whoops, about 1 feet. Oops. And my alignment needs to be left. So now I have this little box here. Now it looks a little strange on this screen. I can go over here to Live Edit, which didn't help it any. Actually, I'm going to do this. I'm going to make this about 56. Okay. So when I click Next, well, oh, okay, I have to have the constrain image proportions off, which I thought I had unchecked, but it obviously changed it. So the image needs to be about 188 pixels. I know that seems like a somewhat strange number, but I did some testing yesterday and when I had written this blog before to figure out how wide it needs to be. Now on this shot right here, there's like a little blip right here, but when you send the test out, you don't see that. It aligns perfectly. So it's 188 pixels wide, and don't use the auto change, otherwise it's going to mess up some of the sizing. So now I have a template that has no image at the top that my recipients know because I took that out. Now the only thing about this is I can't move this text up here because this is actually a box for an image, but it doesn't look too strange with this setup like this. And now when my recipients get the email, they're going to see my sale information as well as a couple of things that I want to draw their attention to. So this is still the same template that we started with at the beginning, and all I did was come in here, again, just change some of the background colors and put in a little piece of the screenshot to make this look more like a solid template without an image at the top. So you can easily manipulate these templates to do whatever you want them to do. Again, like I said, you can't change having the column on the left on this particular one because that's how it's built. So when you go to select your template, when you're using these fully editable ones, let's go back to that. Let's save that one. Go back to the wizard here. So when you're selecting your fully editable templates, my initial email was an invitation to a morning seminar, and so the coffee cup was a great image for me to use. But you don't actually have to like any of the images. My favorite example is the light bulb. I don't understand the light bulb. So I always use this one. But the thing about the light bulb template is that it doesn't have to be a light bulb template because this is fully editable. The only thing you really need to look at here is the layout. So there's a column on the left that's narrow, which is good for the things that I like to call housekeeping. That's where you can put your contact information, you can put your social media icons in there, you can put your table of contents in there, or like I did in the last one, it's just a good place to put sales information. And then the majority of the email is constructed over here on the right-hand side. This template has a narrow column on the right, and then the rest of the content is on the left. Again, you don't have to need a fire extinguisher in there. You can put a picture of a horse. You can put a picture of your church. You can put a picture of your logo. You could put your own logo in there. You could put your favorite product in there. Whatever you want to include in this portion, you can, and then make it your own. This template has a text box up here, and then these are columns underneath it. So there's two columns and a text box at the top. So all you do on the fully editable ones is find the layout that you like and then ignore the colors and the images if you want to. If the images make sense for you, then you can certainly use those, but you can also make changes to create the email that you're looking to do. So again, you can do all kinds of things. I showed you 5 different ways to use your templates to create different styles of emails that you might be needing to send out.